What's up, Grizz Nation? Welcome into another episode of Talkin Grizz. It has been one full year since I talked to my good friend from Cleveland. We've got Chris Fedor, the NBA and Cavs reporter for Cleveland.com. How's it going?
Kelcey, it's going great. How are you?
I'm so good. So last year when we talked, the Cavs had the number 5 overall pick. This year, you've moved up a few, and the Cavs now have the number 3 overall pick. They did very well at the lottery just a few weeks ago. So let's talk who the Cavs could look to put into this roster. Cleveland went 22-50 this year, obviously still rebuilding and still a very, very young core. And they're now going to have an opportunity to put a top 3 prospect into that young core. Let's talk names. Who do you see right now being talked about around Cleveland with that number 3?
Yeah, I think, Kelcey, everybody kind of assumes at this point in time that Cade Cunningham is going to go first overall to Detroit. So at this point, like, the Cavs are looking at probably 3 different players, maybe 4. The 4th one's kind of on the outside looking in. But Evan Mobley, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, those are the 3 that you hear most often connected with the Cavs. Those are the 3 that are considered that next tier behind Cade Cunningham. And then Jonathan Kuminga, who played with Jalen Green at G League Ignite, kind of gets some love because there's a lot of intrigue there. He's super young. He plays the position that every team in the NBA is looking for. He's got the potential to be that two-way wing that can change the direction of your franchise. That's somebody that the Cavs are going to talk to throughout the course of the process, Kelcey. They're going to have a private workout with him at some point this month before the draft. But I get the sense that he's kind of on a different tier than those other 3 that I talked about. And at this point in time, I think the big 3, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Evan Mobley, those are the 3 that the Cavs would consider with Cade Cunningham possibly off the board.
All right, so you kind of transitioned to exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. Now, you traveled with the team. You are there in Cleveland. So who are they working out with? Who are they hot on? I know last year you had talked, the main thing the Cavs were going to be looking for was that wing position to kind of expand and then someone who was great on defense. So now you guys got Okoro. Moving forward to this, is there a certain hole that you think needs to be filled again this year?
I think they could go any direction. I don't think they're necessarily locked into a specific position, Kelcey, because I think they're looking for the most talent. Like, they're finally in a position here in the lottery where it's more about a talent grab. And they haven't been lucky in the lottery. They haven't been in position to get that guy that could potentially change the franchise from a talent perspective. Now they finally are, and I don't think they're going to box themselves into a specific position. I think it's obvious if you look at their roster, they could use shooting, right? They could use another playmaker. They could probably use another two-way wing to play alongside Isaac Okoro or bring Isaac Okoro off the bench, however they want to go about that particular process. There are clear holes on this roster. There's no doubt about that. But for me, now that they're in this position, the sense that I get is it's just about the talent that they can get at the top of this draft. And then it's about their coaching staff trying to figure out how to make all the pieces work, even if that means they would add another guard in this draft to what they already have on this core.
Yeah, I noticed you talked a lot about guards and wings. Obviously, Evan Mobley is a big, but if he's the most talented, I'm sure the coach could fit a big in there that is a talented big. So I'm going to put you on the clock now for our mock draft. Forget their coaching staff. Forget everyone. You are now in charge. Out of those 3, Green, Suggs, Mobley, because you said that 4th player is not necessarily that top tier. If you were in charge right now, who is this most talented player that you would draft for the Cleveland Cavs?
Yeah, for me, Kelcey, it's Evan Mobley. Just because even though some people would look at it and say, well, what about the value of the big? Isn't it kind of diminishing nowadays in the NBA? He's not the typical 7-footer. Not all 7-footers play like every 7-footer. Some guys just bring a different level to the game. And I think Mobley, with his skill set to be a versatile big that can play the 4 or 5, he can switch out to smaller guys, defend that way, or he can protect the rim. It's just the kind of player that the Cavs don't have on this roster. I think he can play next to Jarrett Allen. It can be really intriguing for them on the defensive end of the floor. but he also has offensive game where he can be a playmaker from the 4 spot, where he can stretch out to the three-point line at some point in his career. He can be an offensive hub, so everything doesn't have to run through Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. There's just a lot of things that I think Evan Mobley can do on the court. Then in turn, the Cavs can do with their rotation and their lineup. So that's the guy that I think would be best for the Cavs.
All right, we get the big man game back. So if you're adding a 7'4", what does your starting lineup look like next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would look like, if they hang on to Colin Sexton, I think it would look like Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and then Jarrett Allen as the starting center. And that means that Kevin Love potentially could come off the bench in a more limited role, or the Cavs could explore a trade for Kevin Love this offseason, and Larry Nance Jr. could come off the bench as well. Or Evan Mobley, because you don't feel like he's mature enough, you don't feel like he's at a point physically where he can hold up in the NBA without adding some strength and some bulk and things like that. Maybe he comes off the bench. You know, LaMelo Ball came off the bench early on in his rookie year, and he went on to win Rookie of the Year. So he has find a way to figure it out. Either way, they'd be starting caliber players, all of those kinds of guys. But if one of them has to come off the bench, then so be it.
Yeah, that could be a dangerous young core that would be really exciting to watch this upcoming year. So we will find out who the Cavs take. I hope you're right, because we love some good correct predictions at the end of the month. So Chris, thank you so much for your insight into Cleveland today.
You got it, Kelcey. Anytime.
And hey, maybe we'll see you in another year. I'd love to see you if you come to Memphis before a year, but I'll take our yearly draft chats.
I know. If we could get together, maybe eat at Rendezvous, something like that, that'd be nice.
So good. Yeah. All right. That's Chris Fedor. He's taken Evan Mobley. Thank you so much. And Grizzlies fans, stay tuned to everything we've got going on grindcitymedia.com.